Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm here to give you my 5 things which I believe we learned from the game against Nottingham Forest, where we lost 2-0 away from home in the third round of the FA Cup. I want to start off by talking about our centre-back partnership. So over the last two games we've played a back 4. We've played Tom Holmes and also McGuinness. Now we all can agree on this, I think, that they are very similar centre-halves, and I feel like they are no-nonsense centre-halves. They're old-fashioned type. They would work extremely well in non-league, League 2 and League 1, but in the Championship and in the Premier League, where the speed of the game is very quick and it's just another level compared to the other leagues, centre-halves like Tom Holmes and McGuinness, they struggle to keep up with the game because there's so many attacking players with pace and power. And the one thing which I think when you're playing a back 4, you can get easily caught out at times if you're just going to play two old-fashioned types of centre-halves. In a back 3, you can kind of get away with it as long as one of the back 3 is quite quick to make recovery runs. But I feel like in a back 4, when it's just two centre-halves, I feel like when a team has a counter-attack, we're going to be very easy to exploit due to how slow our centre-halves are. And I think going forward, if we are going to commit at playing a back 4, which I do like, it does feel more comfortable watching Luton, I have to admit. Of course, there's still one or two things that definitely need to be worked on, but a new manager hopefully will iron that out. But with a back 4, I feel like we just get easily exploited with pace. And I feel like going forward, we need one of the centre-halves to be pace and powerful. This is where I feel like we are going to be missing Menji quite a lot, because he had that pace and power as that centre-half. And then the other centre-half can be the old-fashioned type of centre-half that will win every battle in the air, that will just do the ugly side of things, whereas the other centre-half would be that more recovering, that more powerful, quick one, get on the ball quickly and move it about. And that's what I think the way forward, I think that would work extremely well. And just to put this in as an example, Gabe Osho and Lockyer being the old-fashioned one, leading, and then Gabe Osho being the more quick one, being good on the ball, progressing the ball quickly up the pitch. I think going forward that would work extremely well. Moving on to the second thing, which I believe we learned from the game, and I think that is Isaiah Jones, I think will become a really good player for Luton. What I really liked about him, quick feet with the ball. He helped defensively with Walters on not just on one occasion, on multiple occasions. He had a very good chance. He managed to dance his way into the box, beat a couple of players, managed to get the shot off, but I think it was really good goalkeeping from the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper. And he always, every time he picked up the ball, he always attempted to take on the defender, which I really like. Someone who isn't afraid to be creative, who takes some risks, which I think you need to do in games. You can't be static, you can't be predictable, and I feel like he will become a really good player for us. And you have to remember, he's only been with us for 48 hours, and we saw that type of performance. Imagine what he's going to do after a couple of months, after 6 months, after a year. I think he's going to get better massively in a Luton Town shirt. And look, he's only 25 years old. He's still going to have one or two things he needs to develop in his game. But from what I've seen, and from those 69 minutes he played against Nottingham Forest, I'm really impressed, and I can't wait to see more of him in the future. Moving on to the third thing which I think we learnt from the game against Nottingham Forest, and it's the one striker impact. Now, I put this down because, of course, the last 2 games we've played with one striker up top on their own, and that's not a problem. You can do that. Loads of teams in the Premier League and Championship do it. In fact, it's becoming the normal now. The 2-striker partnership is kind of slowly leaving football. Some teams do it, but majority of teams just don't play with 2 strikers anymore. And they play with a number 10 or with wide attacking players. But with Luton, the way we've been attacking over the last 2 games, we're making our one person up top, which has been Morris over the last 2 games, so isolated. We need to be closer to him. So if we're going to put a cross into the box, it shouldn't just be Carlton Morris in the box. It needs to be Morris and a wide player in the box at the same time. It needs to be a midfielder a lot closer to Morris, because if Morris wins a battle, he shouldn't be running on to his own flick on, is what I'm trying to say. Players need to be a lot closer to Morris so he can link up the play, he can be involved, he can get opportunities and be a real asset to us, because right now I think he's just too isolated. Now I do think that is because we've changed formation and we're slowly trying to get used to it, but whoever the new manager is, what they need to make sure they are doing is getting our striker involved, because I have to admit, if the game yesterday, if it went on for a couple more hours, I still don't think we would have scored a goal. We didn't create many clear-cut opportunities. Morris did get a really good opportunity in the second half. Walters with a lovely ball into the box. Morris ends up beating his two players that were literally sandwiched between. Managed to get a header on, but it was straight at the goalkeeper. Now, Morris will win a lot of headers, he will win a lot of battles, but we need that to be more frequent in a game. He needs to have 3 or 4 of those opportunities. Just to remind you what the QPR striker did against us, he had loads of opportunities, he moved himself about, he tore us so many problems, and you think about it, we had 2 old-fashioned centre-halves, battling against him, and he still ended up winning the battle. So Morris, when you look at the compare and contrast between the 2 strikers, Morris needs to show a bit more movement, and the other players around Morris also need to show some movement. Don't just be static in a position. You might be a right attacker, but it doesn't mean you have to stay there. You can move around those attacking areas, and that's what we need to do going forward. Moving on to the 4th thing which I believe we learnt from the game against Nottingham Forest, and it's Amari Bell. I don't know about you, but ever since he's moved to left back, which is his most natural position, which he's been growing up playing through his whole professional career, he just looks off it. I don't know if it's because of the formation change. Some players have suited it, some players it's taken maybe some time to get used to it, but he definitely looks off it for me. Just his movement on and off the ball, just clicking with other players. It felt like he just wasn't on other players' like wavelength at times. But I don't know if I'm just the only one who picked that out. But the last 2 games, I feel like he's been one of the worst players. It's just an observation from watching him. I don't know if the injury which he recently got is still annoying him. I'm not too sure. I don't know if he's playing through something, but something doesn't look quite right with Amari Bell. And then lastly, moving on to the final thing which I believe we learned against Nottingham Forest, and that is Liam Walsh, the impact he's starting to have on this Luton team. It's actually nice seeing him actually play a game when he's not injured or suspended. He's missed far too many games this year through injuries and suspensions, but what he did have was great passing ability. I look back at the stats, I thought he lost the ball a couple of times, but actually I might be slightly harsh because he had a 91% passing accuracy. That's very high, and I have to admit, if you look at Luton this season, we've been in the low 80s, so for him to get 91 is definitely a massive improvement to what we've been doing previously. He had a shot from outside the box, something which we don't do often. We should be doing a lot more. You saw Nottingham Forest against us yesterday. Ryan Yates, he hit the bar. Hudson-Odoi, he cut inside, he had a shot. It wasn't the only 2 attempts from outside the box. Every time they had space, they had a go. Because you don't know what could happen. It could be a wonder goal, it could hit the woodwork, the keeper could parry it, anything could happen. Deflection. So it's definitely worth shooting. If you get that time, you get that space, have a shot. Because so many times yesterday, we just tried to pass the ball into the net and it just wasn't going to work. And lastly, although he had 91 passing ability, he actually completed a lot of passes in the final third. And when you do that, you open up games, you create openings. And he actually created the opportunity for Isaiah Jones in the first half, that there's just one good moment from passing into the final third. I'm liking Liam Walsh. I understand why we actually signed him now, rather than looking at it thinking, why on earth did we bring this lad in? He's now showing what he's capable of doing. We just need to see this now on a more consistent basis. We need to see patterns of play clicking a little bit more, and I think we can see more of Liam Walsh, and he could end up becoming a really good signing for us if he can stay fit and don't get suspended. But that is the end of my video. Hopefully you did enjoy listening to what I think we learned from the game against Nottingham Forest. Let me know down below what you learned from the game. Drop a like on today's video, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video, which will be a player transfer special where I pick out a player which I wouldn't mind Luton trying to sign.